Hello, everybody. Yes, it is time. Time now for our annual tradition. It is my Big 12 Bowl preview, where I will preview all of the bowl games involving Big 12 schools, with the exception of the Orange Bowl. It's because the Oklahoma Sooners are playing in it, of course, against the number one team in the country, Alabama. I'll have a separate bowl preview show for the Sooners and Tide coming up later this week on this very web page. We will, however, review the other 6 games involving Big 12 schools in the postseason. We're going to begin with the New Year's Night showdown for the Texas Longhorns, making their first major bowl appearance in 9 seasons. That's right, last time they were in a major bowl game, it was for the national championship for the 2009 season when Colt McCoy played for the Longhorns. 9 years later, you got head coach Tom Herman, you got quarterback Sam Ehlinger, and you have a Texas team that is... They got to be excited to be playing in a bowl game like this because it's been the biggest bowl game they've played in almost a decade. And with the proximity from Austin to New Orleans, you know that Texas will bring a lot of fans to the Sugar Bowl against a Georgia team that's been one of the best teams in the country. Some thought the Bulldogs should have been in the college football playoff rather than Oklahoma. But those 2 losses for Georgia was too big of a stain on their resume to get into the Final Four. Georgia, though, they will have the best secondary that Texas has faced all season long. I think that's going to be a big factor. I think Texas, in the beginning of this game, will show a lot of fire. I think they will show a lot of promise. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas even led this game at halftime. But I think the big thing in this matchup of the Sugar Bowl, Georgia and their running attack. And I know Texas is not bad against the run, but you have a 2-headed monster in DeAndre Swift and Elijah Holyfield, a Georgia running game that'll go about 250 per game on the ground. I don't know if they'll get 250 this game, but I think in the second half they'll have too much physicality against Texas, and I don't think Ehlinger's going to make enough plays against that Georgia secondary, highlighted by the Jim Thorpe Award winner in DeAndre Baker, the best defensive back in all of college football. I'll look for Georgia to win this game by 2 touchdowns. Let's move on to Orlando, Florida. That's right, we're going to move on to a December 28th showdown this Friday when West Virginia plays Syracuse in the Camping World Bowl. And West Virginia, an 8-3 record, an explosive offense. Of course, as you probably have heard by now, the Mountaineers will not have the services of Will Grier, who finished 4th in the Heisman voting. Grier has decided to skip this game to prepare for the NFL. And I think that's going to be a major factor in this game. Plus, Jennings, the terrific receiver for the Mountaineers, he's not playing, high ankle sprain. He's also thinking about the NFL as well. Plus, the Mountaineers will be without an offensive tackle who's also skipping this game for the NFL. So you got 3 valuable offensive pieces for the Mountaineers who will not be playing in this game. And West Virginia is still favored to win by only 1.5 points against a Syracuse team that probably overachieved more than anybody this year in college football. Dino Babers deserves a lot of credit for getting the Orange to a 9-3 record. They have a 10-win season they're trying to play for. I think this is a matchup of quarterbacks, and I give the edge to the veteran in Eric Dungy of Syracuse over the backup in Jack Allison of West Virginia. Look, if Grier were playing this game, I would say West Virginia is going to win, but keep in mind that Syracuse, again, has more experience at quarterback, and the Orange are very good at forcing turnovers. So I'm going to take Syracuse to win this game, the Camping World Bowl. Now, let's take a look at the Alamo Bowl. Alamo Bowl is coming up also on December 28th on a Friday. The Iowa State Cyclones, I did not like the way they finished the season, only scoring 10 against Texas and struggling but winning against Kansas State and against FCS opponent Drake. That would have been a huge upset if the Cyclones hadn't pulled that off. But you have to admit, back-to-back seasons, Matt Campbell has the Cyclones at a very respectable level. There's no doubt that Iowa State, 8-4 this season, did some tremendous things. And, of course, they have a terrific running back in David Montgomery. Of course, Mike Leach and the Washington State Cougars, double-digit winning season, had a shot at maybe getting to that Pac-12 championship game, but lost in the snow, regular season finale to Washington. Washington State, we know about Gardner Minshew, who finished 5th in the Heisman voting. We know that the Cougars can put up points. The thing about this game, though, I think Iowa State matches up well. Their defense has been designed all year to take away big plays. In Washington State, mostly their offense is known as dink and dunk. In other words, they don't really get a lot of big yardage plays, at least not through the deep throwing variety. It's mainly through the short game. So I think that will favor Iowa State because Iowa State, again, they bend a little bit, but they don't break defensively. They're very disciplined. And Washington State, they choose really not to run the ball, okay? And that's why they're ranked very low as far as rushing offense. At least Iowa State's got David Montgomery, and at least Iowa State will have a shot at controlling the clock a little bit more. I like Iowa State in an upset in this game. Now, let's look at a couple of other bowl games that I am having a hard time picking, okay? Talking about the Texas Bowl. That comes up this Wednesday, the first bowl game of the season involving Big 12 competition, okay? And actually, it's going to be on Thursday for the Texas Bowl. From Houston, you've got Baylor and Vanderbilt. Two teams at the beginning of the year you probably didn't think were going to be in the postseason, but hey, they both surprised us, especially Baylor after finishing 1-11 just last season, a 6-6 record. Hell of a job by Matt Rule, the Baylor head coach, at getting this team to bowl eligibility. Of course, we know about Baylor's passing attack. And don't forget, defensively, they've got a guy that's extremely good at both stopping the run and also being an effective pass rusher in James Lynch. But Baylor's defense is going to have the work cut out for them because Vanderbilt, they can move the ball. They can put points on the board. Of course, their tight end, Jarek Pickney, is one of the best in college football, so Baylor will have a handful with him. This matchup to me, when you're looking at 6-6 versus 6-6, I often look at discipline. I look at the team that really commits the least amount of mistakes. That team's Vanderbilt. The Commodores this year have only turned the ball over 13 times. And we might remember that late game in November against TCU for Baylor. The Bears could have won that game, but they kept fumbling the ball. They hurt themselves. So I think if it comes down to turnovers, you got to give the edge to Vanderbilt because I don't think they're going to hurt themselves. I look for it to be a close game, but I'll look for the Commodores to win probably by about 6 points. Looking at a game that will take place this Wednesday, the Cheez-It Bowl. Yeah, a cheesy name for a bowl game, but it is a bowl game in Phoenix, and it'll involve Texas Christian against Cal. TCU had to win those last two games just to get to bowl eligibility. This is one of those interesting matchups because at the beginning of the year you thought TCU, okay, they're going to contend for the Big 12. Thought maybe Cal, if things go well enough, maybe they get to bowl eligibility. Well, Cal probably overachieved in my opinion going 7-5. TCU underachieved by going 6-6. If that wasn't enough for TCU to deal with, no Sean Robinson. He's transferred to Missouri. Second-team quarterback, he's hurt. So now you got to go with a veteran third-string quarterback in Grayson Muhlstein for the Horned Frogs. Of course, if you're looking at the overall make of this bowl game, even though TCU plays in the Big 12, don't expect very many points. The total has already been set at 40, and I think this is going to be a low-scoring game because I think both defenses are tremendous. Justin Wilcox, got to give him credit for the Golden Bears. And, of course, Evan Wheeler, the linebacker, has amassed over 140 tackles on the campaign. So that's a lot for TCU to try to handle. But I also look to, as far as coaching matchup, and I think this is a mismatch, Gary Patterson. He's done very well in bowl games, 10-6, including winning 3 of the last 4. And I think TCU has a little bit more big play capability. Even though I know Cavante Turpin was kicked off the team, you still have Jalen Rager. And I think TCU with that big play ability probably gets a big play in the second half. And again, what I think will not be a high-scoring game, but I do think it'll result in a TCU win in, the Cheez-It Bowl. Then finally, let's take a look at the Liberty Bowl to take place New Year's Eve in Memphis, and you got Missouri and Oklahoma State. A couple of Big 8/Big 12 rivals meeting on the gridiron. They played in the bowl game not too long ago as well, but you got the Cowboys who, we knew it was going to be a rebuilding year for Mike Gundy's squad, but 6-6, probably a little bit of a disappointment. And for the Cowboys, they'll have to try to win this game without their all-everything running back, Justice Hill, who decided to forego the game to get ready for the NFL. And by the way, in my opinion, if a player wants to skip a game to go to the NFL draft as healthy as possible, I can't blame the guy. We need to put ourselves in those guys' positions. If we have millions of dollars waiting for us, and unless it's a playoff game, I don't blame these guys for wanting to skip that last game, not wanting to risk injury, and having that money secure so that way you can get to the next level and not playing a bowl game that doesn't involve national championship implications. To me, what Justice Hill is doing, what Ed Oliver of Houston did, and what Will Greer of West Virginia did, that's fine. But let's get back to the game itself. Justice Hill will not play in this game. Jordan Brailford, though, who is declared for the NFL, the defensive end for Oklahoma State, he will be playing in the Liberty Bowl. The Cowboys, though, they're going to go against a offensive juggernaut in Missouri. Not just good through the air because of Drew Lock, who's had one heck of a career at quarterback for the Tigers, but Missouri can run the ball too. A little over 200 yards per game is what they average on the ground. That's going to be a handful for that Oklahoma State defense to handle. And even though I know Oklahoma State has a very capable back in Chuba Hubbard who can break tackles, he's not the breakaway threat that Justice Hill is. So I think that's going to hurt the Cowboys. I think Missouri wins. I think they win by double digits in a high-scoring Liberty Bowl. So those are the 6 matchups that we have just previewed for you. As you can tell, there are some games in which I do like the Big 12, other games not so much. Just a reminder, too, that I will have my Oklahoma-Alabama preview coming up later this week on this very webpage, so please check that out. And then I will have a post-game, of course, of the Orange Bowl between the Sooners and Tide after the game's over or just a little bit afterwards, okay? So make sure to check that out too. A couple of more notes. Some people I really need to thank. One, my good time friend Sylvester, or Sly as I like to call him. You might notice up here, I got a little portrait, okay? This is what he made for me. I don't know how well you can see it, but there it is right there, me animated. Yeah. And by the way, if Navy Thomas is watching this, you're going to love my friend Sly, okay? He's a big Nebraska fan. Huge Nebraska fan, but he watches the show. I've known him for years. And anyway, he made that picture. So I want to thank him big time for that. Tremendous work. And speaking of tremendous work, too, I want to show you a prop, okay? I'm wearing one right now. You can see Sports Savant TV. My lovely wife found a great designer, okay? And her name is Erin Spencer. I'm going to give you her information in just a second if you're interested in any kind of one-of-a-kind designs. Also, too, she can give you ideas on design creations. And here is a shirt, a duplicate shirt, but in a different color. There you can see it right there, Sports Savant TV. And on the back, yeah. So she did one heck of a job. I really want to praise her. And I'm going to give you her information in just a second. Anyway, her name's Erin Spencer. Her webpage is on Facebook. Liza Hope Designs. I'm going to leave that up there. Hopefully you can get a pretty good view of it. There you go. And like I said, give her a call if you have any creative designs that you have, for shirts, and she'll take care of it for you. I absolutely love my shirt, and like I said, t-shirt designs that you might have. Makes great gifts as well, and a big thanks to Erin Spencer for that. But anyway, you'll find her on Facebook. And I'll also have the exact information on my page description as well. Again, thanks to all of you for once again watching our bowl preview show for 2018. Sorry Texas Tech, sorry Kansas, sorry Kansas State. Did not qualify for a bowl game from the Big 12, but there's always next year. So long, everybody, and happy holidays.